I think human reach out is really important. There's basically there's basically 4 questions that every new patient's going to have. And just understanding that a human connection on that front makes all the difference in the world. I don't think because we're in the medical profession, you guys go to the doctor, right? When we go to the doctor and we don't understand what we're getting into, it's nerve-wracking. That's how people feel when they go into the dentist.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry look like to you? I'm Katie Polson, a dental hygienist and your host. Welcome to another episode of Growth in Dentistry. I'm Katie Polson, your host, and you are listening to our DSO specific episode. If this is your first time joining in, welcome to the show. We have a lot of different segments here. We've got a growth series, which is 30 minutes of actionable advice from lots of different types of key opinion leaders and even maybe not so key opinion leaders, but really it's a really great space. Come make sure you listen to the other episodes. And the other one that I wanted to point out, if this is your first time listening, is our deep dive episodes. They're about an hour. We talk to our top 10% of our practices, get into analytics and automation and how that actually what it looks like and how it looks inside their practice. And so make sure to not skip those episodes as well. But you're here on this show today, so welcome. This is a DSO specific episode, but that doesn't mean that if you're not in that space, that this won't be relevant. So please stick around. It's going to be a great time. We have I'm fangirling just a little bit because if you are on Instagram or LinkedIn, you for sure, and in dentistry, you've seen this
you have
man's
to be in
face.
dentistry.
You've seen this man's face or heard his voice. So that being said, I'm going to actually introduce Jessica here. She is my co-host. Welcome, Jessica. Again, I'll let you introduce that nice little voice with his amazing astronaut background.
Yeah, well, Gary, thanks so much for joining us. And funny story how we actually met was at Dykema. There was a taco table. They kind of had to switch up how they were going to have the evening event because it was going to rain. And so we were all inside and there was no tables for you to hold your plate and eat your food. And so him and I were like, we're going to share this table, right? Let's just shove down our tacos really quick. And so we just kind of came into a casual conversation and come to find out, Gary Bird was the CEO of SMC National, which you guys just made the 5,000 Inc. list. And you actually have made it every year since you've been founded, right?
No, I wish. That would have been awesome and really stressful at the same time. But yes, that's how we met. It was actually, so you're the taco lady. So I always tell people, I know the taco lady over at Dental Intel, Jessica, and we were having fish tacos. So that was awesome. But we made the Inc. 5,000 list the last 2 years in a row. Okay. And the first time we made it, it was extremely stressful. I broke every system in our company. We had client turnover, team turnover. It was the worst business experience of my entire life because I had no idea what I was doing, just being fully transparent. I was a great marketer, but not a great CEO. Mm-hmm. In the next year, over the next 12 months, I really hunkered down and learned how to be a leader and learned how to really help our team and really change the focus of the company for myself. The team was amazing. It was me that needed to change. And the next time that we made it was much smoother. And I share that story because I know dentists go through that a lot where they transition from being an amazing dentist to being an amazing leader. So I always share that story because I think it's important that people understand that everybody kind of goes through that as in the business world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't think everybody knows what you do. So can you tell us a little bit about SMC and what they do for the DSO space?
Yeah, I just play on LinkedIn all day. So it's pretty much my job. And no, I'm just playing.
But really?
We do dental marketing for dental offices that want to grow. And we are really focused on creating predictable patient flow and specifically predictable new patient flow. And we are a data-focused company, not an emotional-based company. So what I mean by that is most marketing is emotional-based, right? So I want to build a pretty website, or I want to build a really cool flyer or billboard with my face on it. That's all emotions. And there's nothing wrong with that. All those things are great. But that's just not what we focus on. What we focus on is what is your cost per lead? What is your cost per acquisition? How much is it? How much treatment is this patient that we're driving in? How much are they buying from you in actuality? And are you getting these patients to come back or refer their friends and family? And you can actually track all of that now. Most people don't. And that's really where our bread and butter is helping people get those numbers nailed down and then scale predictably. So when they open up the de novo or they open up their second practice or third practice or whatever, they actually have fixed costs that they can count on from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, I really like that because, we're dental nerds over here at Dental Intelligence. So
Exactly.
we love the numbers and what it brings to the space and what you can do with it to grow your business. Absolutely. Well, today we're talking about online scheduling. So I know with being in marketing, I feel like that's something that you have an effect on, as far as especially those new patients, not only returning, but how have you seen like online scheduling change the industry?
Yeah, online scheduling is great. It gives a whole nother dimension to the offices. So it allows for people to come to the websites and actually interact with the websites. That's the pro side of the online scheduling. I'd say the non-pro side or the downside to online scheduling is where people don't understand that if your online scheduler breaks, and a lot of times what I've seen is like you'll have an office, they set up their online scheduler, the PMS does something wonky, right, which happens all the time, and then it does something wonky on the schedule, then new patients fall, and then they go, marketing's broken, change all of our marketing, and we're like, hold on, before we change anything, let us go through our checklist. Did we change the website? Did we change the phone number? Did we we go through, and one of the things we check is the online scheduler, because that will influence people, because I don't think people realize, even people who call will go and look at your online schedule to see if you have availability for them, and if it's broken or if it's not there or it looks it's 12 months out, which happens a lot. Like I get this call a lot. And that's a big problem. And I know from your guys' end, I just actually had a podcast with Tanner. We have one called Dental Riffs where we just literally talk about whatever. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be on the call with Dental Intel. What should I talk about? And this is one of the things he brought up. He said with Local Med, they were like a trailblazer from a technology standpoint. They were making online schedulers before anybody could integrate with a PMS or do any of those kind of things. So he said, to be fair to them, it's like they're trying to solve that. They were the first ones to go blaze that trail, but there's still a lot of PMS issues. And we have the same thing. Like when the data breaks inside of the PMS, I can't get marketing data back out either. And so I think that's a big problem that people that don't talk about a lot, that definitely needs to be watched and paid attention to.
I think you bring up a great point. Like as a customer, of Dental Intelligence before I became an employee, I helped manage our Local Med, and so it worked at first because they brought it together. But as soon as somebody changes an appointment type in the PMS, it essentially will break that scheduling appointment type to be able to be scheduled on your website. And people don't think about it. They're like, oh, well, we just changed the parameters of this PMS, thing. And so how would that affect the widget itself? Well, it affects on how it's pulling those openings. Yep. Yeah. So great point.
I want to just mention that I think a lot of times people, when they're looking for something to ease their life, especially when they're like, it's for a lot of practices, even the smaller, especially smaller ones, this is a big deal to invite someone to come into your practice and take over parts of the schedule. You got to get the people front office involved, and they're terrified most of the time to like let that up. But then they give it over, and they think they're giving it over, and really it's not like a set it and forget it kind of a thing. Like you have to, it's something that needs to be managed and watched. But that being said, I mean, we're making it sound like a huge headache. Like, what do you feel like? How does online scheduling affect the marketing efforts that you guys are making? Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Have you seen that it increases?
It increases the opportunity. Well, it depends, right? So it depends. Yeah. There's a big asterisk. So if it's managed properly and it's used and you have an open schedule, it increases the number of patients that you're going to, or the opportunities that you're going to see. And then if you don't manage it properly, what I mean by that is if you have a broken PMS that it's going into and it's showing no appointments for the next 3 months. Or here's the other one. I talk to dentists all the time and they're like, yeah, Gary, I have availability. We want 20 more new patients. And I go, cool. When can I get my next hygiene appointment? And they go, we got one availability on Tuesday. And then we got another one on Thursday at 9. And then our next one after that is on Tuesday. I'm like, that's not availability. That's some open spots. So if that's all your availability and you're putting that out there into the world and then marketing heavily onto that website, people aren't going to call you. So here's what happens. You spend the ad dollars and the people visit the website, they look at your schedule and they go, oh, no, they don't schedule on the scheduler because there's no availabilities. They don't call and it looks like your marketing's broken. But in reality, what's happening is the flip is that they're just going, oh, they don't have availability for me. So there's certain situations where the online scheduler is amazing and it creates more opportunities. And there's another situation, if not managed properly, where it creates less opportunities and it actually drives people away. So the devil's in the details with most of this stuff.
That's a really great point that I don't think that people really talk about when you're choosing an online scheduling solution. What you're saying is if you have availability, like, market and use the online scheduling solution for the things that you have availability for. And by availability, you mean like actual availability, like someone could log
Pick
in
several spots for today and tomorrow. And here's the other thing. New patients only care about the next 48, 72 hours. Like, if availability to dentist is different than availability to patients. So that's I think is really, really important to understand, is that patients want to get, if I fall and chip my tooth right now and I go to my dentist website and they don't have any availability, I'm going to the next dentist. And if they don't have availability, I'm going to the next dentist until I find somebody who can get me in today or tomorrow. Hygiene's the same way. So it's really important that you understand that the consumer side of dentistry and what it's been turned into. Gone are the days that everybody just thinks that dentists are just bankers and they just work banker hours Monday through Thursday. When people want a dentist, they're going to find a dentist. And if you're available, they'll come to you.
Yeah.
So are you finding that you're having to like coach these clients of yours that come to you to increase their, new patient appointments being scheduled, that you're actually having to coach them how to like make scheduling blocks to allow, these opportunities?
100%. Because again, here's the common conversation. Let's pretend you guys are potential clients, right? So, hey, Gary, we want to engage SMC's services. Great. How many new patients do you want? Oh, we want 100 more new patients. Okay, great. What kind of patients do you want? Oh, we want hygiene patients. Great. When's your next availability? We're about 2 weeks out. You don't need new patients. I'm not going to work with you. Don't go market. Go hire somebody and open up availability so these new patients can actually come in. And then they always say, well, no, but I mean, we do have availability. It's just, and it's like, unless it's on the block, unless people can see it, unless the front desk understands it, and for you guys, unless it opens up on the online scheduler, it doesn't exist. And people aren't going to wait. And it's just a waste of time, waste of money, waste of resources. The funny thing is, I'll kind of spin this a little bit. Here's the interesting thing. There's actually more patients than there are doctors right now. We measure average time to appointment for marketing patients. It's higher than it's ever been. And I just looked at it right before I hopped on this call of all of our clients. And let me just pull it up really quick. Average time to appointment right now is, for our clients, is 7 days for a marketing patient to get in. That's not because the patients want to wait that long. That's because that's how far they're putting it out. Keep in mind, I'm only measuring people who are paying us thousands and thousands of dollars in marketing. So these are people who are actively working on getting that number down, but there's a shortage. There's a labor shortage. So there's actually way more patients than there are doctors to serve them. The reason that offices feel like there's not enough new patients is for two reasons. Number one, they don't understand the black hole of marketing. And number two, they don't understand recare of marketing patients. So these are two things that we measure. So the black hole of marketing is this. If you guys are a dental practice, you start with $10,000. The average unanswered call rate right now in dentistry is 35%. During normal, everybody always goes, after hours. No.
Right.
Normal business hours. This isn't just our number. This is what I see, but this is what Patient Prism, Call Force, all these other companies I talk to, and they're seeing the same thing. 35%. That's which is insane. So now you have, what is that? $6,500 left, right? Okay. Average phone conversion for marketing patients, 50%. So now how much do we got? We got 3,250 left. Then if you schedule them a week or two out, guess what your no-show for just your marketing patients, not existing patients, your no-show for marketing patients can jump to 30%. So that's another $1,000. So guess how much, and this is assuming you have perfect marketing that's executing, and assuming that everything else is working perfectly, you end up with $2,000 worth of marketing dollars through your door that you get an opportunity with from the 10,000. So that's why most offices feel like marketing doesn't work. That's the first part. The second part is the recare. So here's the interesting part. Most offices are at about 30 to 40% recare rate for their marketing new patients in their hygiene, which blows their mind because they go, no, we're at 90%. They're not at 90%.
Yeah, we see that.
What was that?
We see that.
Yeah, you see that? Yeah. It's they look at their global recare rate. So they take all 1,000 patients and they're all recaring, of course, because they're already there. And then we boil that down to new patients. And then we take new patients and say, let's just look at marketing new patients only, not the patient referrals. Patient referrals recare at a much, much higher rate, about double or triple of the marketing patients. Why? Because the marketing patients are low trust because they don't know you yet, where the patient referrals are being referred to you from a doctor or from a patient. They have high trust because somebody else already did all the legwork to get them there.
Right.
Wow. That's some really great. Oh, I love data. I'm geeking out over here, mainly because especially I want to dive in a little bit to that recare, marketing recare. So now we know the issue. What do you advise people to do to increase that marketing recare?
It's so simple. You just have to slow down a little bit. That's it. So here's what happens. So I'm a doctor, I'm a hygienist, and you were a hygienist. So you get this. I've never worked in a dental office. I've just observed, right? So I'm a doctor, I'm a hygienist, and I'm flying. I got tons of new patients because we want more new patients, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting the new patients in. And as you run room to room, you're not thinking, does this person trust us? Have we built rapport with them? You're not thinking that. You're just like, hey, how you doing? And you're nice and all that kind of thing, but you're just moving fast. So when the patient hesitates and goes, I don't know. We don't take the time because we have 3 or 4 more patients waiting in the next room. So it's no big deal if this patient goes away. The only problem with that is that happens to be the patient that you paid to have come through the door, not the one that was referred by a patient. The patient referrals are like, yeah, what do you think I should do? Okay, great. And you're just like, why can't everybody be like that? Why can't we have all of our patients be like that? The reason that all of your patients can't be like that is those are patient referrals and you can't scale patient referrals. You can increase them a little bit, but you can't. Meaning, if you open up a de novo
not scalable.
Tomorrow,
Yeah,
you're not going to double them or triple them, right? And so here's what happens: you want to grow, you want to double or triple your practice because you just hired 2 associates. Great, you can only do that with marketing. And if you're flying and turning and burning these patients, not because you're mean, not because you're doing bad dentistry, not because any of those things, you're just moving really fast. Your recare will suffer because of that, of the marketing patients. But in all the data, you won't see it. It's hidden. It's kind of like a hidden number, a hidden gem. So what we recommend is now you can see it. We open that up for them to be able to see just for marketing, and we recommend, okay, you need to slow down and get this number up, get it up to 60%, and that really helps people understand how to actually grow their marketing.
That is so interesting that you would say that is the solution, because in our deep dive episodes, we've done, I think 10 of them now. Each practice comes on with different things that they're excelling at in our top 10% of all of our 9,000 practices. Some of them are pre-appointment percentage, high dream reappointment, case acceptance, right? And one of the common denominators, every single one of the practices, all do an hour and a half new patient exam. I'm not saying that that's something that you should do, but I'm talking about like slowing down.
Yep.
And maybe you just do that with your marketing patients, right? But that's not something that we set out to find, right? We're we're not going to interview all of these great practices and they're all going to tell us that they're taking so much time with their new patients, but all of them were taking more. I mean, as a hygienist, still currently in my practice that I'm not now. We only offer an hour.
Yeah.
Most DSOs that are listening are like, that's like a slap in the face from what you would recommend, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Is why would you spend more than an hour to 45 minutes with a new patient? But I
Yeah.
love that recommendation. That's really, really interesting. It's based off data.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I think that happens a lot of times is that dentists and people who work in the offices kind of shoo off these patients because they go, oh, these are shopper patients.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
what I always have to remind people is that all patients are shoppers.
Yeah.
There's never been a patient that wasn't a shopper. It's
Mm-hmm.
just how much trust do they have of your office? The real question you should be asking is, do they have the finances to afford it? So obviously, if someone comes in off the street, they have no money, no way to afford it. Yeah, I get it. They're going to ask questions about how can I get this done, right? And that's not going to be very fruitful for the office. But if they have the finances to afford it and they're asking questions still, there's a trust issue there. They don't know just to say yes. And so doctors are always like, well, I don't want to deal with those people. And I go, me neither. But guess what? Every dentist I've ever met is a shopper. Nobody ever just goes, cool, Gary, whatever you want to charge is cool, man. Yep. Just here's the credit card. They all shop. They all price compare. They all talk to multiple companies. And I don't blame them for that. I think that that's very wise to do as a business owner. And they're not shoppers because they're cheap. They're shoppers because they want the value for their dollar and they want to make sure that they can trust me as an organization. Your patients are no different. The difference that they feel is one was referred by a friend or a family or a doctor who said, these guys are amazing. Just go in there. You'll love them. And they go in there and they just trust you. The marketing patients have not got that experience yet. Or they went through your black hole and they somehow made it through, like not answering the phone, 50% phone conversion, putting them 2 weeks out, and they actually make it into your office. And then you have to build that rapport with them over time. And it feels different. It feels like, why is there that friction there? It's because they don't know you yet. If you can just get them re-cared or just get them to fix one little problem with their dental health, then you get 100% of their treatment forever. And they'll become a patient referral and start referring people in.
Yeah.
So like one question I want to bring up here is, just being on, the ops side of things is you're bringing up these marketing patients and such. So sometimes they come in as an online scheduled appointment, but you never made contact with them. And in other cases, people take that phone call, they kind of gather some information before they come in to make that first experience, more personable. So like they're asking them information of like, what did you like about your last dentist? What did you not like about your dentist? So they can make sure that they don't, make those same mistakes, and then they can hit on points that they want to touch on. What do you suggest if they made an online appointment? How do you build that trust without having any information besides, the bare minimum of their name and things that we gather when they're booking online?
That's a good question. I think human reach out is really important. There's basically there's basically 4 questions that every new patient's going to have. And just understanding that a human connection on that front makes all the difference in the world. I don't think because we're in the medical profession, you guys go to the doctor, right? When we go to the doctor and we don't understand what we're getting into, it's nerve-wracking. That's how people feel when they go into the dentist. Now, we don't feel that way because we're around dentists all the time. We get it. We see all the nooks and crannies, but patients don't feel that way. Really, all they want to know is, how much is it going to cost? When can you get me in? Insurance questions. And then do you do these kinds of, these nuances? I need a dental implant versus the nuances of all the treatment. Now, those can all spin into a million different directions, but that's basically the 4 questions that every new patient's going to have, one of those 4 or a combination of those 4. So just understanding that and making that human connection and being able to communicate that, I think that's huge. I think that makes all the difference in the world. And again, the slowing down. I will say this. So I'm going to share a piece of data with you guys that I've never shared publicly before. And I've been tracking this for about a year now.
Well, I'm excited.
Okay, cool. I don't think anybody in the world has this. You guys might have it on your end, but I don't know for sure. Okay, so we've been tracking what percentage of marketing patients actually show up just through local med. Just marketing, though. Not patient referrals, not all the other patients, just marketing patients generated from digital efforts. So we take that number. I looked at it last month. I'm just looking last month. You guys are at 93% of them we can match back to the PMS through the digital marketing, which is really good. That's extremely good. So once we get them there, once from a marketing standpoint, once there's that trust there and they get to that online scheduler, 93% of the time they're going to come. So for me as a marketer, I want to get them on that schedule. The other 7% were in the PMS, or we're in the put their name and information into the scheduler, but we can never match them back to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that number actually doesn't surprise me because I feel like decision fatigue, or like it's a lot easier to make an appointment that you know that you're going to keep when you do not have the pressure of someone saying, well, when is this? What time? And you just end up like accepting an appointment just because you feel bad. Okay, yeah, that will probably work. Or they accept it because they know they're never going to say yes to, yeah, I'll say yes, but I'm never coming to that appointment. But when someone makes an appointment online, and goes the effort of making an appointment online, they intend to keep that appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
The power's in their hands. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's much more, in their hands. 100%.
Yeah. Really good.
One last question, and then I'll let Katie ask her infamous question. So if listeners could walk away with one thing today, what would you leave them with?
Okay, so I'm gonna compound on what I just said. So guess what the average phone conversion was last month? Just take all of our clients, roll them up, phone conversion. So if you guys are 93% of the time.
Oh, I'm gonna guess based just in I'm gonna guess 25%.
No, that would be really bad.
I would say 67, but I don't know.
You're close. Yeah, 71%. So if you can get up into 80%, you're a pretty good office. Guess what chat is? Guess what chat conversion rate is for marketing patients that they end up showing up into the PMS. They hit the PMS, or they hit the chat, they get information, they say, yeah, I want to come in, and then how many of those end up showing?
I feel like that's lower. I mean, I'm gonna go with like 30 or 40, just because I hate the chat button.
Close.
But that's
so
just
it's
me.
53%. Now keep in mind, so online scheduling doesn't increase the number of new patients that you get, because but you might get more people in because your conversion rate's higher. Chat increases the number of opportunities you get because the bar of entry, because it's much lower, there's less commitment there. So you get more opportunities, but your conversion is going to be lower on those opportunities.
Yeah,
so it's still advantageous to have that available. And then all the way down to forms. Someone, like if you have a form that just says, hey, contact us, we'll get you in, we'll put your information in, those convert at 50%. So you kind of get the gamut of where people convert from these. Now, keep in mind, this is with us following up, checking to make sure the scheduler's up, checking to make sure that the team is converting, having coaches follow up, all those kind of things. Like in the chat, that's our only job. This is the only thing we do. So these conversion rates are probably not industry standard. These are our client standard. And then if you go into the industry where people aren't maybe paying attention to it, it's probably lower.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds to me, I mean, just based off of my marketing knowledge, and also like just diversify, right? Like you want to be able to you want to be where everybody else can reach you. And we do this in marketing all the time. We diversify exactly where, and sometimes that means that our leads are really big and their conversion rate is small. Yep. And sometimes it means that we spend a ton of money to get really small number of leads, and we know that they're going to come. And it's the exact same thing that you're describing here. And so how important it is, and obviously working with you guys, you can help DSOs or SMB or smaller practices accomplish that. But to be able to make it set up so that, patients can follow through in every aspect. But yeah, super fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
thanks for all the
tricky.
data.
Marketing is tricky because it's hard to track. And it sounds like you guys have really nailed that down. So
we try our very, very best.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool. Well, I asked this question for every single guest of our show because growth means a lot to us at Dental Intelligence, and it means something different to everyone in industry. So what does growth in dentistry mean to Gary Bird?
Ooh, this is a good one. So our company why is always growing. And what that means to us is, number one, our team is always growing personally and professionally. That's our first priority. And we go to great lengths to help them do that. And then number two, we want our clients to grow and their team members to grow. And by default, number three, then our company should grow. And so far that formula has worked really well for us. Now I've gone a little bit deeper with our team, and I've started to describe the emotions that we feel when we're growing. And there's two things that I think have to be present and if you're growing. So number one is you have to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, you are not growing. If you're comfortable in the gym, not growing. If you're comfortable at your job, you're not growing. And so we push people to be uncomfortable. We push for uncomfortable situations because that's the only way you're going to grow. And number two, there has to be a level of urgency. I believe that if we talked about our life goals or our bucket list, we would throw out we want to go here and we got this goal. And we're so comfortable doing that because we got so much time. I got 20 years or 30 years to make this happen. But if I said, hey, in the next month, what are you going to get done? All of a sudden, it changes the conversation. And all of a sudden, we become very narrow-minded in our focus, and rightfully so. And so I think that those two things have to be present when you're growing, is you have to be uncomfortable and you have to have urgency tied to it in some nature. And when you have those two things present, you will grow.
Yeah. I love that you didn't just give us an outcome. You gave us like the emotion behind it. And so take stock, I guess, right? Right now, if you're listening and you're like, I wanted to grow, I want to take more days off next year. Well, then maybe you should think, am I uncomfortable? Right. Right now. So that I can be comfortable later.
Routine kills growth. Yeah. If
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, this is just the routine, I've always done it this way and it's comfortable, like that kills growth.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not
so
gonna
easy
grow.
to fall into that in dentistry. It's so in any industry, but yeah, for sure. Well, this has been Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast. I forgot in the very beginning, if you aren't a current customer of Dental Intelligence, we have a great offer for those that are listening to the show. If you want to go to get.dentalintel.com/podcast, we'll give $50 when you complete a demo. I'll make sure that link is in the show notes.
That's awesome.
Anyway, special thanks to our guest, Gary Bird from SMC National. If they want to get a hold of you, Gary, where should they go to do that?
Social media, the Gary Bird on every platform,
Mhm.
everything from TikTok to Twitter. I have like 60 followers on Twitter, which is awesome. I've been working really hard to grow that. So, or any platform, or smcnational.com. They can connect with me there. And then also I wanted to ask you guys, will you guys come on my podcast?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
of
cool.
course.
I wanted to ask you on air, so you can't say no. Cool.
Love your tactics.
Gary does a lot more shows than me, so he's always itching for somebody new to come onto that show. He's
Yeah.
desperate, apparently, if he's willing to ask us.
I need content.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate you taking the time, and thank you for listening. Thank you to our marketing department as well for all their work on this show. And that's it, Jessica. That's all I got.
All.
I'm Katie Polson.
All right.
Keep growing.